Hello, everybody. It's Nick Grimshaw, and we're live according to my little app here. And I want to welcome everybody to the show. And before we get started, just a little bit about the Google Hangouts app that I'm using called Webinars on Air. If you come in as an attendee, if you go all the way over to the left of your screen, you take your mouse over to the left, you'll see a blue box. It's like a little balloon. That's your chat box. And if you click on your chat box, it'll bring you up on my screen, and I can see you in chat, and you can chat with other attendees. So to find the chat boxes, if you take your cursor, move it, or your mouse and move it all the way over to the left, you'll see a little blue box. If you click on that, that will enable you to see and use the chat. So let me type that in. Oh, I wonder if that helps if you can't see it. Oh, maybe I'll just have to keep reminding people. So I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes to see if anybody else joins us. It says 2 attendees, so I'm missing somebody I can't see yet in chat. Oh, and back down to myself, I think. So I'm just going to hang on for a minute, and then we're going to start. I like to start things off with a quote, so we're going to start off with a quote. And maybe a story or two. Who knows how this will all go? But I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to see if they can get on. I know it's a busy day. It's Friday, and people are busy, but you'll be able to always be able to review the recording. I send out the link to my list. So if you're not a member of my list, you can click on the link in the chat box. And if you're new, you can find chat. If you move your mouse over to the left, and you'll see the blue square box. Click on that, and you'll be able to see the chat as it goes by. So I hope everybody had an awesome Labor Day weekend. The reason why I couldn't do a broadcast last week is because the date that I was leaving to go up to my sister's in Lions Head, which is way up on the Bruce Peninsula in Ontario. Oh dear, I hope I don't have that problem again. I'll have to go in and fix that if it keeps happening with that fade in and out. But anyway, we went up to Lions Head for the long Labor Day weekend, so I wasn't able to do a broadcast last week. And but it was fabulous up there. It was beautiful. It was beautiful sunny weather. Hope you all had a great time. It was great hanging out with my 3 sisters and my 2 brother-in-laws and their families were all around. We got to a party on Saturday afternoon. We had a party, big party, all kinds of food, and something really interesting that maybe I'll talk about a little later on as we get into the show. First, I want to give you the quote to start this all off, because it is about getting out from between the lines, and that's breaking these habits we have of staying within the lines. And I got a note from my memory is going, from Tom, and Tom Walker, and he said, "Thank you for giving me permission to get out from between the lines." And I guess in his upbringing, he was really forced in between those lines. And I think in a way, most of us were taught to work within the lines. So this show is all about breaking out from those habits, those things that we do all the time that keep us that thinking, that keeps us in that mode. So here's the quote. Too often we start with what is possible. But if you start there, you limit yourself and the possibilities of what you can create. And that's from the founder of Airbnb. So I'm going to read again. Too often we start with what is possible. But if you start there, you limit yourself and the possibilities of what you can create. Because if you're only looking at what is possible, then you're already batting, you already have something against you. You're already between a line. You're between the line of what is possible. And you need to take that line away and go, okay, what's impossible? And maybe think from there. So a great quote, again, comes from this wonderful magazine called Success Magazine. And I highly recommend that you get that. So I want to talk a little bit about something that happened to me recently, just as an aside. This is, I broke my glasses just before we were leaving for our trip up to Lion's Head to my sister's over the Labor Day weekend. I was just sitting here and the arm of my glasses just came off. Because they're a special frame, it's called silhouettes, and they're virtually, you can't see them. And I'm wearing these today. These are reading glasses. Anyway, it fell off and I didn't get a chance to go up. I needed to find someone who could repair them because I didn't want to spend, up here in Canada, you're looking at $600 or more for a new pair of glasses. And or you can go online. There is clearly contacts where you can get them for half that price. I actually went and priced them out. But anyway, oh, hi, Winter. Great to have you on board. Great to see you. I have somebody else. I don't know who they are, but if you want to talk in chat, if you go over to the very far left corner up at the top, you'll see a blue square with some lines in it. You click on that, that'll get you into chat. Anyway, this is about customer service, I guess, if you want. I went to the mall on Tuesday when I finally got back and I had a chance to get up to the mall. In Ontario, it's a very strange place, even for Canada, because where I come from in British Columbia, everything is open all the time. All the malls are always open except for Christmas Day and Easter Sunday. It's the only time anything closes in BC. Here, if it's a long weekend, nothing opens. I don't know. Anyway, got up to the mall and I was going to a place where my sister usually gets her glasses. And it was recommended to me as somewhere that they'll probably be able to help me. Hi, Scott. Great to see you. Awesome to have you on board. So I went to this place. I won't mention the name because it's more an employee than the company itself. But I went somewhere where they recommended. I took my glasses in, and I have my glass and my stem, this here part, separate. And what happened, I went up and there was this fellow standing there and I had my glasses in my hand and my stem and I said, do you think you can help me at all? I need to get these fixed. And he looked at them and he kind of shook his head and said, no, not really. He said, you probably could get them spot welded. Or, you know, there's this place, and he told me this place, which was like all the way in hell the other side of London, where I was right at the moment. So I would have to drive miles to get to this place. And his only thing was they may be able to help me. And I thought, this is not looking good. So I left that place and I walked 2 stores down, and there was another optical store. And I'm looking and thinking, he didn't say they would be able to help me. He would recommend somebody close by if he knew. He wouldn't send me halfway across London. So then I thought, well, I'm here, I might as well give it a chance. So I walked into that store with this part of my glass, and I said to the woman, is there any chance you can help me? And she looked at it and she says, oh yeah, I can help you. She said, I could order that part for you. And I went, fabulous. She said, yeah, I can order the part. It's told me how much it was going to cost. It'll be here by blah, blah, blah. And she saw me clutching these glasses and said, would you like a case for those as well? And I said, oh, I'd love to. They're my spare reading glasses. So she gave me a case for my glasses and everything, and off I went. And I was 2 stores away from the guy who told me that I had to go halfway across London. So he didn't seem like he cared very much, but the lady who helped me in the other store was like, oh, let me get the right color code for you for those. And she had her book out and she's going through it, and she took all my information. It was great. So its attitude is really important in anything you do, and in business is you can do the easy thing and just make an excuse or shrug, or you can send a person to a place or source where they can find help. So just a little thing. And the thing with these glasses is they're only reading glasses. So when I look up, my other ones are progressive, so I'm so used to them. These ones are making me a little sick, but anyway, we'll persevere. So last week I talked about first principles, and I talked about you don't have to do anything. However, you do have to accept the consequences. And then I talked about attitude is everything, and I just sort of gave you an example of that. One of the other things that I put here as a first principle is clarity is everything. And this is something that I'll be talking more about when I start getting into dream building and goal setting and all that good stuff, which will be coming up soon. But if you don't have the vision, and if it's not clear, then you're going to run into trouble. You're not being able to reach that direction you want to go in. So there's that focus thing again. Anyway, what I work with people on is to really, really, really work on clarity and do a lot of exercises on how clarity works and things that you can do to make things clearer. And one of the things, where's my file here, that I thought was kind of interesting, because we were talking about this in last one, and that is we're talking about getting out from between the lines, and one of the things I talk about is in journaling is the use of color when you're journaling. And here now, the big trend, this one says staying inside the lines, but the big trend is for coloring books for adults. This is a pretty brand new trend. And it talks about why you would use color. And color engages your creativity and fine motor skills. It also distracts the part of the brain involved in worrying. Not interesting. Coloring takes us back to the simpler days of childhood. She says, boosting positive emotions. And one of the things I recommend when you're working on clarity is to take, I don't have my box of crayon. I have like colored pencils in a box, and I use them when I'm journaling, when I'm trying to work on something. You'll see the wall charts, this wall chart here, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. They're all, I use crayons, color for that. Color helps you engage your creativity. And that's part of the imagining and visualizing process, to get creative, to find ways to really illustrate and clarify what it is you want. Yeah, absolutely. So this is an interesting thing. So then here we go with how strangely the universe works at times. So I start this broadcast called "Getting Out from Between Your Lines," out from between the lines. Then I see this about coloring, which is really part of my research for the journaling program that I'm working on. And then, just after I saw this, I went to Chapters. And Chapters is like your Barnes & Noble in the States. And there's this huge display at the front of the store on adult coloring books. Just this huge display of them. It's really big. So color, to help clarify what you're doing, what you're working on, is something that's really, really awesome. And I want to do a brief exercise with you, and it's too bad I don't have some more people here, but we're going to do this exercise. People are going to see this in rerun as well. But this is something that I ran across recently, and it's really mind-blowing in its simplicity, because to get out between the lines, to reach for your potential, your unlimited potential that's already within you, we don't really get how big our capacity is to do that. And there's a simple process to do this. And it's very simple. Hopefully you're both sitting down, and you put your foot on the floor. Just put your right foot, your left foot, put your foot on the floor, and then look at it. And that foot that's on the floor represents what your conscious mind can comprehend. Okay, that's what's beneath your foot on the floor is your conscious mind. All right. Now, look at the rest of the floor in the room. And for me, it's a pretty big space, but it doesn't really matter. That is the processing ability of your unconscious or preconscious mind. It's mind-blowing, the difference. Below your foot is what your conscious mind can work on at any one time, is that. But your preconscious or unconscious mind is capable of, and you see everything around you that goes for the floor that you're on. I'm trying not to move my arms too much. Not move my arms. That is your potential use. Learning how to tap into that potential, to use that potential, is what this is all about. And it's where you go to reach all those resources and things that are available for you. They're there within your own mind right now. We don't have to do anything else. It's all there already. So I want you to keep that in mind. Whether you stop when you're doing something, don't limit yourself to the area that your foot is covering, which is your conscious mind. And learning how to tap into that are some of the things that we'll be talking about as we go forward. So what I wanted to go over again today is something that we talked about in the last session, I was talking about not putting your to-do list on a linear plane. So here's another little thing. We tend to think linearly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, so on, right? So everything lines up this way. But that's not really how the universe works, because time is part of our human experience. We recognize time as movement. Things are happening, that's time, right? But in the now, when you write completely in the now, time disappears. Time goes. So if you put your to-do list in a circle, that takes away that element of time and might show you different ways of using your to-do list. You might see different connections, almost like mind mapping, but not really. So the first thing I did was change the name of my to-do list to What I Love To-Do List. So it takes away doing things that you shouldn't have anything on this list that you hate to do. Number one. So if you've got something that you hate to do, you need to change that. Either change your attitude or stop doing it. So either find something about it that you can love or stop doing it. And you can do one or the other quite easily if it's something that you feel somehow while paying the mortgage, you have to do that. Otherwise, you don't have a place to live and so on and so forth. So reframe it again. Reframe how you're thinking about that and put it in, I love to provide a great home for my family. So then paying the mortgage is not a chore. It's something you love because you're providing something for your family. So I've played around with this a little bit, and I've come up with some, because I told you it was a work in progress, and I come up with some different ideas around this that just sort of started to happen as I used it. So what I did with the circle is I divide it into 4 parts, basically, because I wanted to represent my to-do list is not just about work, okay? It's about my whole life, my whole livingness. If you just put it for work, now you're limiting yourself and you're putting yourself between lines again. So let's expand this to-do list, this I love to-do list, to include everything in our lives that we like to do. So basically, I did, just to play around, I did 4 quadrants, and you see that a lot in goal planning, daily planners, time management. So then I broke it down. So Beautiful Summer Morning and Learn with Nick are my 2 big things that I work on every day. So I put them down. Beautiful Summer Morning, Learn with Nick, which is sort of the Tim Tech thing that we're all doing on this side. Beautiful Summer Morning is, again, it's more spiritual, more personal development, growth oriented. And then below here, I put what projects I'm working on. Because if you just work here, you never get to your projects. Because your projects aren't everyday things. They're something else. So projects. So the projects I have going right now, it's journaling course. So I'm doing the research for journaling course. Dream building is another project I'm working on. And my Beautiful Summer Morning funnel, which I haven't mastered yet. And I'm working on that as well. And then over here, I've got personal offline stuff that I'm doing. So part of that is my routines, what goes on in the morning. And on here I've got the circle. And so then I want to pick things out of each quadrant that I'm going to do today. So it gets me working in all areas rather than just one area. I can focus on getting, for instance, today for my beautiful summer morning, it's Facebook posts and Twitter. Okay. For Learn with Nick, and I haven't got to these yet, email lists, add to upgraded section, and list building. And in the center, because it kind of bridges both A Beautiful Summer Morning and Learn with Nick, is my 2 p.m. show. So that's here. This morning, I went to do a practice run through of the workshop Janice and I, a friend of mine, are going to be doing here in London. So we've done one run through, and this morning, and I've got it crossed off now, was practice run through. That was on my to-do list today. And then over here, I've got what I do in the morning. So it's meditate, exercise, and my reading for the day. I do that all in the first part of my day. I want to work on this here is finding famous people journal. So I'm going to do some research on that, and so that I can have that as ammunition for my course. And I want to do 2 videos, and they're short. They're 1-minute videos on dream building. So I have 2 topics I want to discuss on dream building. And over here, I think that's just about everything. So that's my to-do list. It's the big 2 things. We're going to practice and doing my 2-hour show. All the others, these things don't take a long time to do. The research project I'm going to do later this evening. And the videos, hopefully I will record someone shortly after doing the show. So there's an idea for working with I Love To-Do List that's different than just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, because now you're involving yourself in every part of your day, on every part of who you are. You're not just somebody working on a business. You've got other things that you can do as well. So just information for you guys all to see how that evolved. And I'm no expert in this. It's just something I'm playing around with. What works for you? What's going to work for you? And maybe just an ordinary list works for you, but I challenge you to get out from doing this 1, 2, 3 stuff. Okay? Try something different. Work differently 1 day a week and say, okay, well, I'm going to do my to-do list the same as I always do, but 1 day a week, I'm going to try it differently. The idea is you don't break out if you continue to do the same thing all the time. Now, let me see. So again, here's somebody talking about, this is from You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza, who is one of my heroes. And he says in here, he says, like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, who had the power she sought all along, but didn't know it, you also possess a power that you may not have previously realized was yours. The keys that can set you free to being chained to the limitations of your own genetic expression. And one of the things he's talking about is, for the longest time, we thought genetics was something that was fixed. What was in our genes is who we are, and you can't change that. And as it's proving now with all the new research and something, that just isn't true. That your genetics are as flexible as the neuroplasticity, your ability to change your mind. That all works also in regard to genetics as well. So you are not conditioned by genetics. You do have power over it, which I thought was really interesting. So again, breaking out from between the lines. Okay, let me take a sip here. How's everybody doing? Okay, so the other thing I wanted to do, let's see if I can take this down. I wanted to talk about your 3 words. And this is something that I've been working on. It's something, the idea comes from Brendan Bouchard. I first encountered it with Brendan Bouchard. I'm doing a sort of a little bit different twist on it, but in his, he has ways of presenting yourself. You have 3 words that you use in a particular situation. So when you're greeting somebody, you have 3 words. When you're working in your business, you have 3 words, your profession, right? So there's 3 words that sort of define that for you, that you're going to be present with. And so I thought, I've been slowly working over the last little while, developing my own 3 words for everything. And I'm beginning to use it as my, at the end of my emails and everything that I'm doing. And my 3 words, these are the most important things to me. So your 3 words are the 3 most important things to you. And when you have those, then you can begin to expand on your vision, on your goals. Everything comes from those 3 words. So what I did is, the most important thing to me is growth, personal development. I can't help anybody if I'm not growing myself. And so that's sort of the focus. It's why I just love reading. I love the knowledge that comes from reading. I love taking workshops and courses, which is one of the reasons why I love doing workshops and courses and things like that. All of those things are, to me, ways of pushing your limits, pushing you to grow. That growth is, I can't help my family if I'm not growing. If I'm not growing, I don't have the resources, information, ideas, compassion, creativity, artistic skills, or whatever to help them. So my 3 words are grow, live, and love. So grow everything. So I've really focused on that. Live, because I'm growing, because I'm doing those things that are really exciting to me, that makes living a joy. It makes living a higher echelon emotion. It sparks me. It excites me. It gets me feeling good. I dance in the morning. I sing in the morning. Although I'm a terrible singer, I still sing. And then love, which love is, again, another important part. And as long as I'm learning and growing and I'm living, I'm loving. And love is everything. Love is family. Love is my people on my my list. That's love. And I'm sorry about the in and out of the focus, and I'm really going to have to figure out how to do that. I've got to figure out why that's doing that. But anyway, it's because I'm moving around and it's trying to focus. So, what are your 3 words? Now, I think a lot of people would have similar words. And I was listening to an interview the other day on Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. And he was in an interview and somebody asked him, so, you know what, he's just signed a huge contract, $84 million. He's like, I think 24 years old. you know, like, and he's got this contract for $84 or $85 million, and that would be overwhelming for most of us. And the interviewer said to him, and if you've ever seen Russell Wilson interviewed, he's very laid back, very calm, very certain, very focused. And he said, the guy said, well, what's important to you? How do you keep everything organized in your life? And he said, it's very simple: faith, family, football. Those were his 3 words. Excuse me. So my question to you is, so everything evolves for him out of those 3 words. Everything evolves for me out of these 3 words. Give me a second. I'm going to try and go in and fix this. Hang on a second. Excuse me, that's the wrong thing. Now, hopefully, I don't know whether that'll fix it, or I'm hoping that it has. There's another way to fix it. Ever since I've gone to Windows 10, it's been a little bit challenging, and it's supposed to be better. I'm not so sure. I kind of like Windows 8. But anyway, so if you think about what are your 3 words that are the most important to you. I don't know, Winter, whether you're still listening or whether I know you're busy doing other stuff, but what would be your 3 words? Scott, what would be your 3 words, the most important things in your life, the 3 things that you make top of mind? Because those are your keys to everything else that you're doing. Everything else you're working on. I'm sure, Winter, with you, I know one of those things must be family. For me, love includes family. It includes my son and his girlfriend. It includes my sisters. It includes my friends. Everything is evolved in that particular area. But I can't. But so that's why I put growth as my number 1. Okay, so so that just something to think about, something to start working on. If you can, like, as I watch Russell Wilson, he had no hesitation about his 3 words. It was faith, family, and football, and he managed to get them all with the same letter, which is pretty awesome. But anyway, that's what he worked on. So I'm now, the next thing I wanted to talk about were a couple of things here before I leave off, because I wanted to talk about emotional states and elevated emotions and limited emotions, because again, we're talking about giving outside of our being in between the lines. And one of the things that I thought, this was really interesting, it's a little, and I didn't get a chance to create this little diagram, and what it's talking about is where emotions come from. And when you're using elevated emotions or creative emotions, those emotions are selfless, which I thought was kind of interesting. And those emotions are gratitude, love, joy, inspiration, peace, wholeness, trust, knowingness, presence, empowerment. So when you're operating in those emotions, you are selfless. They're not selfish emotions, they are selfless emotions. Survival emotions are selfish. So when you're down in that level where you're only just surviving and you're not thriving, you're just churning it out. Doubt, fear, anger, insecurity, worry, anxiety, judgment, competition, hostility, sadness, guilt, shame, depression, lust are all emotions that are selfish emotions, because really they're into you. You're worrying, you're doubting yourself, you're worrying about yourself. You have anger that you express either outside or within. Insecurity, worry, all of those things close you down and bring you down. Whereas when you're in a state of gratitude or joy or love or inspiration or peace, you're working this way. Everything is exploding out from you. And everything is moving this way. So it's expansive. You're at your highest creativity. Everything you're doing is working. It's smooth, and so on. And when you find yourself down in the doubt, fear, anger, insecurity, all of those, you're worrying, you're closing in the walls, you're boxed in. I can't do it. I can't do that. I doubt that I can do that. I'm angry with my boss, so I'm not going to give him my best work. That's selfish, right? So I thought those were pretty interesting, and I'm going to try and get them figured out somehow. How I can show that better, list them for you, and have them ready for next week. So that's basically it today. What I wanted to talk to you about today. I do have. I'm going to go to screen share. Let me find, there we go. And where is that? There we go. Oh, just a minute. I'm still learning how to work this. So screen share. Now, did screen share start? It didn't. Let's try this. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see that. This is a quote from Brian Johnson's Optimizer, and it's Robert 2. You are always responsible for how you act, no matter how you feel. I thought that was a good quote that I wanted to pass along to you. So there's one. And then I wanted to go over here. So hopefully you're still seeing my page. And this is Steph Godin's blog. And on here he goes. I thought this was really interesting. No one knows. No one knows the right answer. No one knows precisely what will happen. No one can produce the desired future on demand. Some people are better at guessing than others, but not by much. The people who are supposed to know rejected Harry Potter, Tracy Chapman, and the Beatles. The people who are supposed to know sell stocks just before they go up and give us rules of thumb that don't pan out. If you mistakenly believe that there's someone who knows, you're likely to decide that whoever that person is isn't you. And if it's not you, what a great reason to hesitate. In fact, the gap isn't between the people who know and those that don't. It's between the people who show up with their best work and those who hold back. I thought that was awesome. This is part of reading Steph Godin's. I read him every day. He's always has jewels of wisdom like that, but I thought it's very interesting that the gap isn't between the people who know and the people that don't. The gap is between those who show up with their best work, no matter what, they show up with their best work, and those that hold back for whatever reason. So that's awesome. And I think this is where I'm going to leave you guys today. Let me come back and click off screen share. Where is my, there we go. Okay, hopefully you saw that okay. And hopefully next week I'll be back with my proper glasses and I won't feel quite as discomfort doing all of this with my glasses. I've been struggling with this all day. Today when we were doing our run through of our workshop, I had them on most of the time and I was looking up and down because we're pretending we had a live audience. We're imagining our live audience. And so you're up and down, and these are reading glasses. So when you look up, it gets woozy and so on. So my glasses I should have by Monday. Yay! Okay, guys. So thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate your presence here. And this will be sent out to the list later so they can watch it later. And if you're not a member of my list, please click here and join the list. I'd love to have you on my list. And I will talk to you all soon. Have an awesome day.